Hey loves, welcome back to my channel and welcome if you are new. My name is Tyla and today is episode 21 of the journal session series. This is an interactive series where we journal together and I offer you prompts as well as time and space to write out your answers. So today's prompts are all about doing the shadow work, those things that you kind of bury down deep within your subconscious in your mind and you ignore. Yeah, we're not going to do that today. We're going to focus on all of those things that we have been suppressing, things that we need to heal from certain traumatic events from our lifetime. So grab your pen and grab your journal and let's get into it. I had some tea today. This tea was really good. It was some lavender tea. Yeah, I really like that tea. So I want each of you to write out your answers as truthfully and honestly as you can possible. That way you'll receive the best benefits from this journal session. So question number 1, when you really think about it, is there anything you're currently in denial about and avoiding? Everyone knows that it's much easier to just suppress all the things that are disturbing your mind and your spirit and to ignore it and act like it doesn't even exist and to sweep it under the rug, to distract yourself. And there are so many distractions, especially nowadays in today's society. We have social media, we have all of these things constantly grabbing at our attention. So it's really easy to ignore certain problems and things that you have going on within your life. But in all honesty, that does not serve you. And that is not going to help you to evolve and to grow if you are constantly avoiding and running away from all of your problems and your fears. So it's really important to ask yourself, what is it that you're avoiding? What is it that you are in denial about? And to actually face that situation, that problem, whatever it is for you, and ask yourself questions about why it is that you are running from that thing, why it is that you are trying to ignore it, and why you're in denial about it. The more that you do this, the more you will unlock certain hidden things within your subconscious that you may not even have known about. And doing this in turn will really help reveal a lot about who you are today and why you are the way that you are. So question number 2, what's one regret you have? Why is it a regret? How do you feel about it? And is this something you can correct in the future? Regret is something that I notice plagues a lot of people, and it used to plague me too as well, especially with the fact that I am an overthinker. So I would constantly dwell and repeat certain scenarios in my head over and over until I just drove myself crazy. It wasn't until I got to a point where I had to acknowledge that once something is done, it's done, and there's nothing that you can do to go back on it. You cannot change the past. You cannot take something that happened away, and it's already done. So there's nothing more that you can do about the situation, but then to give yourself that peace, that love, that reassurance, and that forgiveness as well. Forgiveness is so important when it comes to forgiving yourself for certain mistakes as well as others. And trust me, I've made some life-altering mistakes that really have changed me for life. And I just want to say and encourage you guys that no matter what you've been through, no matter what you've done, the best is yet to come, literally. And when I was at a place that I was very depressed and down and out, it was very hard for me to think about the best days of my life being ahead because I felt like my life was over in a sense. And certain things that you experience are going to make you feel like that. But let me tell you, it gets so much better. And a lot of these things do happen for your highest good. And it may not always seem like that, but trust me, once time goes on, you'll see why that certain thing happened. And you're going to have a newfound sense of strength, confidence, perseverance. You're going to become so resilient to where nothing is going to be able to break you because you've already experienced the worst. So let go of all of that past resentment, that fear, that hurt, those burdens, those regrets, because it's only delaying you and your growth as well as your peace and your happiness. So question number 3, write about a time someone you trusted betrayed you. How did it make you feel at the time? How do you feel about it now? Experiencing betrayal, especially from someone that you trust or love, is one of the most painful things to experience, to be completely honest. It hurts really bad. And not only that, but it makes it so hard for you to ever trust anybody ever again. And one thing that I've noticed, especially from betrayals, is that the more that you see what people are capable of, the more that it makes you not want to be around people. It makes you not want to trust people. It makes you not want to be open to people. And it kind of just opens your mind to all of the dark things that people are capable of. And it can be easy to get caught up in this and to just want to isolate yourself from others and to not ever open yourself up to love, to friendships, to genuine connections, to meeting new people. But the downside to this is that you start to block your blessings, because then you start to project your fears and insecurities onto others that genuinely do mean you well. There's still a lot of amazing people out there, and it definitely is a challenge to come across them. So it's imperative that we do cherish those that we find that are worthy of our trust. The moments we experience betrayal and backstabbing really teach us how to better use our discernment, increase our intuition, and learn how to decipher who is for us from who isn't. So don't allow these betrayals to harden your heart and make you cold and bitter, but allow them to serve as a lesson and guide, and express gratitude for these experiences because they bring wisdom. So on to the next question. Write about a traumatic event that happened in your life. How has it impacted you? So for everybody that has experienced something really traumatic in your life, I just want to say to be very patient with yourself, because a lot of people don't understand and really underestimate the way that trauma and traumatic events alters your brain chemistry and your psyche. After experiencing something traumatic, it's honestly really, really hard to live life the same and to perceive life the same way as you did before that traumatic event happened. And something I noticed when it came to my traumatic events is that it made me a lot worse before better. And that's something also that just comes with growing pains. It's going to be really painful before you finally break through and break free and can really embody that new version of yourself, that stronger version of yourself, that version of yourself that can overcome anything. So something that I found was really important when it came to healing my trauma was allowing myself to go through each stage of the trauma. So the sadness, the anger, the depression, the grief, each and every single one of these emotions played a really vital role in my healing. So it's really important to not deny any of those aspects, to allow yourself to feel all the emotions that come up after something traumatic happens in your life. And this is a lot more effective than coping with substances or distractions to ease the pain from certain traumatic events. Because when you do cope in those ways and you distract yourself so that you don't feel the emotions from something painful happening to you, what's going to happen is the next time a similar situation occurs, it's going to trigger you, and all those emotions are just going to come right back up because they're still there lingering. So it's really important to not ever distract yourself from pain or cope with substances or use things to ease what you are feeling, but rather just allow yourself to feel those emotions, because that's what's going to give you that strength. So the next time that something does happen and it's similar and it triggers you, you're going to be able to cope a lot easier because you already allowed yourself to go through the stages and the emotions. And if whatever you have been through really affected you to the point where it did do really bad psychological damage, I would highly recommend doing therapy and doing whatever you feel that you need to help yourself become better and bounce back from these situations, because it's not always easy to overcome certain things on your own without getting that professional help. And I do highly recommend that. I did therapy and it definitely did help a lot. Expressing your emotions, showing your emotions, talking about your emotions, asking for help, all of these things are not signs of weakness, and that's something that society has tried to implement into our brains. These are actually signs of strength, because it takes a strong individual to face what they are feeling and to not run from it. So that leads me into this next question. When you feel emotional pain, how do you make it go away? How do you feel about this? Now, if you know that you handle your emotions in a negative way, let's not beat ourselves up about this, okay? We acknowledge that we may not handle our emotions in the best way, and this is what's going to allow us to grow when we are real with ourselves. Because if we are handling our emotions in a negative way, all we're doing is really cheating ourselves. So think about ways that you can start to better cope with your emotions. Think about healthy alternatives to the ways that you may cope with them. To give you guys a few examples of some ways that I cope with my emotions in a healthy way is I'll play some music and I'll just sing my heart out and I'll dance. And I also like to write. Journaling, major key. If you are upset, angry, emotional, whatever the case, write it down in your journal. If you have some words for somebody, write it down in your journal. If you feel sad, write it down in your journal. A journal is going to be your best friend, and I love journaling. It helps a lot. Another way that I like to express my emotions and cope with them is going out in nature. Nature is the greatest healer. Go surround yourself with some trees. Go hug a tree. Who cares if people think you're weird? Trees actually have a lot of benefits, and it's actually really good to hug trees. That's just a little major key right there, but just go out in nature, sit, surround yourself with some trees, put your feet in the grass to ground yourself, sit by a river, go to the beach. I love going to the beach, especially to take my mind off of things. It's so peaceful, serene, and just really meditative. So yeah, those are just a couple of ways that I like to cope with my emotions in a healthy way. So that's some tips. And you can also do like some workouts. If you're into like boxing or yoga, I like yoga, fitness, strength training, MMA, I don't know, hey, whatever floats your boat. But yeah, these really help me, so I definitely recommend them. So on to the next question. When you feel emotional pain due to past trauma, where in the body do you feel it's stored? A lot of people don't realize how much trauma actually gets stored in our body. And for me personally, I feel like my trauma mostly gets stored in my back and my neck. It's different for everyone, and it can get stored in different places, but some of the most common places are definitely in your shoulders, in your hips as well. We hold a lot of trauma, and in your neck and back. So if you are a person that does not do any type of physical activity, stretches, nothing, you are probably holding years of trauma within your body. So if you have not been stretching, I want you to do me a favor after this video. Do some stretches for yourself. Stretch your body, move your body, get yourself moving, do something active, do a couple jumping jacks, shake it off. That's really good to help release energy as well. But make sure that you are moving your body. This is why me personally, I love yoga so much, because after you stretch your body and you move in certain ways and you feel that trauma releasing, you feel like a brand new person. Like literally every time that I do a yoga flow, especially after I've been stressed out, I just feel brand new. I feel amazing. And the thing is too that you'll notice is that depending on how much trauma you have stored in your body, and depending on what poses you do or what stretches you do or what workouts you do, sometimes you may feel like you want to cry. You're gonna start crying in certain poses, and this is a good sign because it means that you are releasing a lot of stored trauma. So on to the next question. Do you struggle with showing yourself compassion? How does showing yourself compassion make you feel? If you've been in connections, especially that have made you feel like you were less than or you weren't good enough, or even growing up and you had parents or caregivers that did not treat you well or constantly ridiculed you, constantly made you feel like you were nothing but a mistake, it's going to be very hard for you to show compassion and love to yourself. And I am very sorry if you did ever experience any of these things, because it is painful and it does really tamper with your self-esteem. So I just want to encourage you guys to give yourself the love that you need. If nobody ever has given you that type of love, even if it was the people close to you, people in your family, friends, whoever, make sure that you always give it to yourself. You're all that you have at the end of the day when everybody else is gone. So you have to make sure that you are always looking out for yourself and taking care of yourself and showing compassion to yourself. And if you're somebody that experienced a lot of ridicule or emotional manipulation, especially in your childhood, I highly would suggest to do some subconscious reprogramming, listen to affirmations, start saying positive things about yourself and reinforcing those positive beliefs, because it's going to be really hard for you to be confident and really feel good about yourself having those negative things implanted in your subconscious mind. So start doing more of what you love to do. Start creating self-care routines for yourself. So start pouring into yourself in ways that make you happy and that make you feel good and make you confident. Now, I didn't want to make this video extremely long, so I'm going to pop up some more questions that you guys can do on your own. So you got a little bit of homework to do, but these questions are really, really good. So I do highly recommend to do them. Take a screenshot, do what you got to do, answer these, and trust me, you're going to feel a lot better after you release all of these things. So thank you guys so much for joining me for today's session. If you journaled with me, I am so proud of you, and I'm wishing you all the very best. Peace and much love.
Look at the streets, you are not my mate. If you become a shop, not be head of state. But my people then go say, I don't want buy, I don't want die.